You can't lie, the GTX 1080 Ti has aged very well. Even though it's 5 years old now, it still goes toe to toe with newer mid-range GPUs. And it's been about a year since I benchmarked it last, so I want to see how it gets on in 2022. We've got some newer games to test today, and I've also updated my benchmarking methodology. Back in 2017, Nvidia launched the 1080 Ti as the flagship for the Pascal series of GPUs. It crushed 4K games back then, and that's thanks to its 3,584 CUDA cores, 11GB of GDDR5X memory running through a 352-bit bus. And it's the GPU that is currently sat in my gaming rig. It has done since 2020 lockdown, and to be honest, I don't feel like I need to upgrade just yet. I am missing a few features like DLSS and all the ray tracing features that are found in the RTX cards. However, the 1080 Ti on raw compute performance is still very good, and it is the most powerful GTX card that has ever been built and probably will ever be built, because I don't see Nvidia making any more GTX cards. My specific card is the Strix OC, so it's one of the higher end 1080 Ti models, and it clocks up to 1936 MHz, which is actually very quick. And it also comes with a big fat free fan design, and it stays kind of cool under load, but GPU boost does push this thing very far beyond the factory overclock. Getting into the benchmarks today, all games are tested at 1440p, and I'm tested on my personal PC instead of the test bench, mainly because I couldn't be bothered to put it into the test bench. However, my main PC has a Ryzen 9 3950X, 32GB of Corsair Dominator 3200MHz CL16 memory, and a Samsung 980 Pro NVMe Gen 4 SSD. First game up today is the beautiful Red Dead Redemption 2 from Rockstar, and I would go as far to say that this game is a masterpiece, and if you haven't picked it up yet, pick it up, it's so good. On the Digital Foundry Xbox One X settings, in the Saint-Denis benchmark, the 1080 Ti got 76 FPS on average and a 1% low of 59 FPS. The game looks great, it also runs really great, and you'll have a great time while playing this, getting immersed in the story while the game just looks so good. Next game up is Assassin's Creed Origins, and I decided to test Origins specifically as it released on Xbox Game Pass recently, so there might be quite a big influx of players. However, the game looks great, and it launched in the same year when the 1080 Ti launched as well, back in 2017. And in the very high settings, in the in-game benchmark, the 1080 Ti got 83 FPS on average and 64 FPS for the 1% low. This is great performance, there was no stutters, it performed really great, really smooth, and this is the settings I'd recommend playing with the 1080 Ti at. Next game up is F1 2021. It's a personal favourite of mine, it's optimised really well, and there is a new game coming soon, F1 22, so the performance might change a bit in the newer game. However, 21 today is optimised amazingly. We set the settings to Ultra in the typical wet Australian Grand Prix benchmark, and the 1080 Ti got 114 FPS on average and 85 for the 1% low. No stutters really, it looks really smooth, really playable. GTA 5 still looks great even though it's almost 10 years old. Yeah, I can't believe it either. I remember when this game launched back on the 360. However, the PC port is optimised really well, and in the City benchmark at very high settings and 2x MSAA for both anti-aliasing and mirror reflections, the 1080 Ti got 108 FPS on average with a 1% low of 81 FPS. This is some really good performance, and you could even enable some advanced settings and still get away with a really great frame rate. Rocket League is an incredibly easy to run game. To be honest, I put this in the benchmarking just to see how far the 1080 Ti can push the frame rate. And the figures, to be fair, speak for themselves, with 304 FPS on average and a 1% low figure of 144 FPS. The game was maxed out when I did this, you cannot get it to look any better at 1440p. Cyberpunk is probably the game that disappointed me the most, mainly because it's just spaghetti code. And the 1080 Ti struggles at the medium settings in my city driving benchmark with 56 FPS on average and a 1% low of 46. To be fair on it, it was a pretty consistent 56 FPS. However, at medium settings, you'd expect a bit more, so I think this is slightly on the 1080 Ti's age, and a lot of it is to do with the poor optimization for this game as well. Last game up today is Dirt Rally 2. It's another Codemasters game, so like F1, it's going to be really easy to run. I chose the Dirtfish free roam benchmark at the high preset, and the 1080 Ti got 161 FPS on average and 128 for the 1% low figure. This is a very respectable performance and it's not bad at all. These are the settings I would recommend playing the game at. Overall, with all the benchmarking data, I am very pleased with the 1080 Ti's performance at 1440p. Cyberpunk was a bit meh with the performance, but that's more down to Cyberpunk being a very spaghetti code game, let's say. However, I do think with newer games moving forward, the 1080 Ti will start to struggle a bit down to just pure optimization, and games optimizing for the newer cards a lot more than cards like the 1080 Ti and Nvidia with their driver optimizations as well. However, if you're looking to play more esports games, I think you'll be very happy with the 1080 Ti's performance. At 1080p and 1440p and probably even 4K, the 1080 Ti does very well in esports games, constantly getting into the triple digits into Rocket League, F1 and Dirt Rally 2. So if you're looking to play more competitive games and you've got a budget of about £300 for a graphics card, I think the 1080 Ti will do you quite good. So whether you've got a 1080 Ti or you're looking to buy a 1080 Ti, I would recommend it for games that are coming out today. However, if you're more forward thinking, I would rather save a bit more money and get something like an RTX 3070 Ti, something like that, save up a bit more, because the 30 series have a lot more features like your ray tracing, your DLSS, and newer instruction sets that newer games can utilise. The 1080 Ti constantly goes for around £300 used on eBay, and this is a very, very good price considering that we're out of the GPU crash, bad market, I guess. Prices have finally come down, so if you want to see a video on that, I'll make a video on that, so make sure you stay subscribed for that. So I can recommend the GTX 1080 Ti in 2022 with an asterisk. If you're playing esports games, definitely, if you really want them really high frame rates. However, if you're more into future proofing and you want to play more AAA games in the future, the 1080 Ti can definitely do it. However, I'd recommend saving up for something like a 3070 or even a 3080 because you'll get more future proofing out of them cards as they're much newer. However, with all that being said, I'm going to leave the video here, so I hope you liked the video, so like it if you liked it and stay subscribed for more tech content, and I'll catch you in the next one.